Hi, in today's webinar, we'll be going through core modules of FEDINA Part 1. These are the list of topics we'll be seeing in this webinar. The first module that we'll be seeing for today's session is Settings. As a beginner, I shall begin with the FEDINA using General Settings. To go for General Settings, I need to go to Administration, Settings. Here, I will find the first option, General Settings. Before I begin with using FEDINA, I need to let FEDINA know certain details about my institution, for which I need to enter these details. Let me give school name or the institution name. I have given a name, say school 2, an address, phone number, and the institution type. So what kind of institution is this? Is it a K-12 or a higher education? K-12 means kindergarten to class 12, and higher education can be institution or a university. I need to select the student attendance type. The student attendance type can be a daily-wise attendance or a subject-wise attendance. Based on the attendance that the institute is going to follow, they have to select a particular attendance type. The option of selecting a start date of the week is available right here, where we have the option of changing the start date of the week. By default, it's Monday and we can change it to any other day. Date format, which is by default, date, month and year. And there are three other options available. Date separators are also available, can be a slash or an hyphen. The institution has to select the financial start date and the financial end date. Similarly, language, time zone, country, currency type, precision type need to be selected based on the location of the institution and the currency type that you're going to use. They have the option of uploading a logo by going for choose file. They can upload the institution logo right here. They need to select their grading system. These are the grading system available: GPA, CWA, CCA, and ICSE. Based on the grading system the institution is following, they need to select the following. They can select more than one. In case if it's a normal examination, they do not have to select any of it. There's certain other settings that is available, which begins with to enable auto increment of student admission number. We might enable the student admission number. Something begins with an example, STD001, STD002, and so on. In that case, the first student admission number need to be entered manually and the subsequent numbers will be automatically incremented, for which I need to enable this option right here. Similarly, the employee number can be automatically incremented, for which I have to enable this option here. Here, I can enable this option so that a news comment moderation can be done. Similarly, I can go for a sibling category and admit students for their siblings. They can match their siblings and the parent login will be available with both the kids' profile. So this option can be enabled right here by enabling this option. The next one is to enable the password change as first time login. The users of FEDINA are admin, students, parents, and employees. So these users will be given a first time user ID and password. While enabling this enable password changes first time login will give them the privilege of changing the password when the first time they log into FEDINA. The last option is to enable roll numbers for students. Apart from the admission number, which is automatically generated or manually entered by the admin, we can also have roll numbers for student, for which we need to enable this. So that's all about general settings. Once these general settings are done, we need to update it. Right now, let's go ahead with the other settings available here. Let's begin with creating classes and batches. Here, it's asking me to choose the option manage class or manage batch. Right now, let me start with manage class. I can create classes or courses right here, for which I need to go for new. Here, I need to enter the class name or the course name. So let me enter a random class name, say standard 3. I need to give a code for this particular class, say std3. And here, I need to select the grading system. Since I have not selected any grading system there, the normal grading system is available here. There is an option to enable elective selection. If I want my students to select their own electives, I can enable this option, enable elective selection. If I don't want them to select their own electives, if I want to assign it myself, I can disable it. Here, once I'm done with giving the course name or the class name, I need to give these initial batch details. I'm giving it as A 2015 to 16 and select a start date and an end date of that particular class. Once this is done, I'm saving it. Here I can see the class that I've created, say standard 3. Inside the standard 3, the batch that I've created is available here. See standard 3 A 15 to 16. I can create one more batch right here by going new. And I can give a name for this new batch, say B 15 to 16. And give a start date and end date for this academic here. Right here I have the option to import previous batch subjects and import previous batch master fees. So by enabling these two options, the subjects and the master fee that has been available for the previous batch will be automatically imported for this current batch. Once I'm done with these settings, I can save it here. Let's go to the next one, to manage student category. Here we can create categories for student. So right here I've created few. We need to give a category name, something called sibling category or staff child category. Once the name of the category is provided, we can save it. By creating more categories like this, we can admit student into these categories while we admit them into Fedina. I can delete categories and edit categories at any point of time. Now let me create subjects for the courses that I've created. For the standard that I've created, standard 3, A 15 to 16, I'm creating normal subjects and elective subjects right here. I can create normal subjects by going for the option add normal subjects. By selecting this, an option pops up where it's asking me to enter the name of the normal subject. Let me enter name of the subject, say English, give a code name, say English, ENG, and here I need to enter the maximum weekly classes for the subject English. Say I want my students to take four classes, so 4 periods of English per week. I need to enter the number here. And I need to select the option no exams in case if this particular subject doesn't have examination. In case if it has examination, I do not have to enable this. Once I'm done with it, let me save it. Similarly, I can create more normal subjects. Once I'm done with doing normal subjects, I can go for elective subjects. Here, I need to create an elective group. So I'm going for the new elective group option, for which I need to give a name for the elective group. Let me give a name, say languages, and save. Inside this particular elective group, I need to create the elective subjects, for which I can go for the option add. Here I'm giving the name of the subject, the code, maximum weekly classes, say 3, and save. I can add one more subject. Once I'm done with creating the elective subjects, I can assign students right here by going for this option, assign student. Or the students themselves can assign it for them while using their own login ID and password. Right here, we've created subjects for the classes that we created. Now let's go ahead and see the admission additional details right here. So we're done with general settings, so we're moving ahead with admission additional details. This particular option enables us to add additional details in the admission form. Admission form by default has a list of options and list of columns and fields that we need to fill in. In case if the school requires more additional details that the student has to fill in, they can create those fields right here, like how I've created. So these are the fields that I've created. I have given the name of the field to be a medical checkup. Say this particular field has to be mandatorily filled in by the student. So I've enabled it right here. Once I've done, I need to select the input method. I can select input method from the drop down. I have selected the input method, say checkbox, and I've entered the values in the checkbox. So I've given yes, I've given no, it can be others as well. I can add more columns. I can delete it at any point and update it. Similarly, I've created few other additional details. In case if I want my students to enter their height and weight, I'm giving the field name to be height and selecting it to be mandatory or not mandatory, and select the input method, say text box or text area, because the student or the person entering the admission details has to type in the data. So I'm selecting the text box option and updating it. That's all about additional details. Let's move on to SMS modules. So right here, we have certain settings that can be done using our SMS option that we have. So here we have something called SMS settings. The school or the institution can decide for what are the options that they want to send SMS to the parent or the student or the employee. Right here, I have enabled all. You can disable few in case if it's not required, or enable as per the convenience. The school can send SMS when the student is admitted into the institution or when the exam is scheduled or the result is published. Similarly, when a student is absent, SMS can be sent. Similarly, the events that is created can be notified to the student through an SMS. During fee submission, and any kind of SMS to parents, students and employees can be sent here. So I have enabled these options so that I can use these options later, and I've updated it. Once this is done, I have other options of sending SMS to students, to a batch of students belonging to one particular class, or to a set of employees, or an employee belonging to a particular department. And I have an option of sending SMS to all. Right here, when I click this option, I need to select a particular batch. And once I select the student and type in a message, the SMS will be sent to all the students. Similarly, for an employee, I need to select the particular department and type in a message. Here, I can view the SMS log that is taking place in my institution. Let me check the next option, manage school student roll numbers. So as I said, apart from admission numbers, we can have student roll numbers in FEDINA, for which we need to enable the option in general settings. Once it is done, we need to come here and sort the settings here by doing certain options. So here I'm sorting the student name based on the first name. So I can change it by going for the option edit. And these are the batches that are available, or these are the batches that I've created in FEDINA. Right here I've provided a prefix for this particular batch, for which I've given edit roll number prefix, and I've entered a prefix that I want the roll number to begin with. So once I've given the prefix, the roll numbers will begin with BL00, 01, 02 and so on. Once this is done, let me save it. I can view the batch inside, and these are the batches. For every batch, I need to set roll numbers. So I can go for edit roll number, and this is how I've edited the roll number. Based on the first name, alphabetically the students are arranged and they are provided with a roll number. You can edit it at any point of time. Similarly, roll numbers can be generated automatically by doing certain settings here. So we're done with settings. Let's move forward to the next module, human resource. We can find human resource in administration. Before going with human resource and admitting employees, we need to do certain settings which is available right here. The first option, settings. These are the settings that we need to do before admitting an employee. So it begins with adding employee category. Right here, I have created few categories for the employees to be admitted. So let me show you that category. I have given a name, say finance category, and given a prefix for the particular category, FIN. And I've made this category to be status active, and I've updated it. I can create more such categories by giving a name. These are the categories that might be available in an institution. Say it might be a finance category, human resource category, inventory, librarian, teacher, visiting teacher, and system admin. These are the types of employee category that might be available in an institution or a school. It can vary. So while creating, we need to enter the name of the category, give a prefix, and save it. In case if this category is going to be inactive for a period of time, you can make it inactive here, and it will be found in the inactive categories. Later, when you want to change it to active, you can change the option and update it here. See, once the employee categories are created, we can go forward to create employee positions. So right here, I need to give the name of the position and select the employee category that I've previously created. Let me show you an example. I've given a name, say junior, and selected the employee category to be finance. An employee who is a junior finance will be falling under this particular category. I'm updating it. A teacher who is a junior teacher will have this particular category called junior teacher. That is the reason I've given the name junior and selected the category teacher. Similarly, I've created few categories, say junior HR, senior HR, junior librarian, senior teacher, senior admin, etc. So let me go forward and do the next setting. Add employee department. There might be various types of departments in an institution. I have shown a random example here. These are the departments that I have created for myself. I have given the name as English. I have given the code to be ENG. I have also created a department called French. I have given the name and the code. By creating these employee departments right here while admitting an employee, I can admit them to these departments. We can create as many departments as we want. Now as I'm done with the employee departments, I'm moving to the next one, employee grade. Here I can have a grade for the employee. I have given the name to be grade 1, for example, and given a priority to be 1. Say this particular employee is a grade 1 employee who having a priority 1. So that means I can allot the maximum periods per day that the employee has to take, or the maximum periods per week that the employee has to take. So right here, as an institution, I'm providing the employee a detail that the employee has to take 2 periods per day, or the maximum of 4 periods per week. Similarly, I can create few other grades. I can give the name, I can give a priority, and I've given a maximum periods per day. So this particular employee, you fall under the category grade 2, will have to take a maximum period per day to be 3 and maximum period per week to be 6. So once these grades are entered, we can add payroll categories. Inside this payroll category, I have created few categories here. So while creating these categories, we need to give the name of the category here. So I am giving a name of the category to be basic pay. Since basic pay is the original category based on which the other categories are dependent, I am not entering any percentage. I am not selecting it to be a deduction or an earning, and I'm updating it. It is an earning, so it falls under the category earning. Let me enter one other category, say HRA. And I want my HRA to be, say, 5% of my basic pay. So I've selected the percentage to be 5 and percentage of to be basic pay. I have selected the status to be active. And now Farina is asking me if this particular category name HRA is a deduction or an earning. It is an earning, so I'm not enabling this option. While it is a deduction, I will enable this option. Once I'm done, I'm updating it. And I've created few other categories, say special allowance, having a percentage of 6 on the basic pay, and this is supposed to be an earning, so I'm not enabling it. Right here, I've created one more category with an MPF and the percentage to be 2 on the basic pay. So the percentage of basic pay, which is 2, will have this category and it is supposed to be a deduction. So I'm enabling this option deduction now from the employee's salary. 2% of their particular salary will be deducted in the category name PF. So in case if I have a payroll category similar to this, earnings and deductions can be created. So once I'm done with these payroll categories right here, these are nothing but settings. While I admit employees, I'll be entering their payroll details. Let me move forward and add the bank details. So right here, I can ask my employees to enter their bank details. So this particular field will be available in the admission form of the employee in Fedina. Since the institution wants the employees to enter their bank details, I'm creating a field like this where I've given a field name to be an account name and updated it, an account number and I've updated it. Similarly, I've given the field name to be bank name, branch name. So right when the employee admission to Fedina is done, the bank fields will appear and the employee has to fill in their detail about the account number, account name and the bank name right here. So any other field can also be created, any other details that the institution want from the employee can be created as a field by entering the name of the field and creating it. This will be available in the application form. So let me see the last one, add additional details. Apart from the bank details, there might be some additional details that we want from an employee. So right here, I've created few active fields. I've given a name of the field, say Aadhaar number, and I can make it mandatory if required, and I can type in an input method. It can be any of these. Since it's a text, so I'm going for a text box, and I can update it. I've given for other options a passport number. I've given the name to be a passport number. So this particular field, passport number and PAN number, will be available in the application form of the employee. And I'm selecting an input method from the drop down. Once this is done, I'm updating it. So that's all about settings. Once we're done with the HR settings, we can go forward to the employee management right here. Inside employee management, the first thing that I have to do is employee admission. Here I'm selecting employee admission. This is the form of the employee. So this is the admission form for the employee, and I can fill in the details of the employee right here. So here you can see the admission number for the employee is automatically incremented based on my previous entry. So the next is the joining date, which is by default today, the present date, the current date. I can change it by selecting the calendar option and changing it. Here I can enter the first name of the employee. Let me enter the first name of the employee. And I have the option of entering the middle name and the last name. Here I can enter the email ID and select the gender and birth date. So right here there are certain fields that has to be mandatorily filled in. So I'm selecting the birth date of the employee. Here it's asking me to select the department in which the employee falls into. I need to select the department, say science department. I need to select a category for the employee. So is it this employee a teaching staff or any other department, say finance category or human resource category or inventory category or librarian? So in case if this teacher is a teaching department, I'm putting the employee into a category name, say teacher. And what position does this employee have? Junior teacher or a senior teacher? Let me select the option junior teacher. Once I'm done with it, I need to select the grade for the employee. Say what grade does this employee fall? Grade 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. So I can select the particular grade right here. So based on which the employee's maximum weekly classes per and maximum classes per day will be decided. Let me select one particular grade, say grade 2, and I have the option of giving job title, qualification and experience information right here. And other personal and contact details can be filled in. I can also enter the biometric ID of the employee, and I can upload a photo of the employee by going for choose file. Once I'm done with it, I can go for save and proceed. Here once again it's asking me to enter the home address and office address. Once these are done, I can go for save and proceed. Here this particular field was created by us in the settings. So the bank detail that we created in settings is available right here. So now I need to enter the bank detail of the employee right here. I can enter the account number here. Account number here and the account name. And any bank name and a branch name. So once I'm done with it, I'm saving it, and these are the additional details that we created in these settings. So these are the fields that we created, and these are the input method that we chose in the edit settings. Now, since I've made this PAN number category mandatory, it is asking me to fill in the mandatory field. Let me fill in the detail. I've entered the detail right here. I'm going for save and proceed. Now, I have the option of choosing the privilege for this employee who is going to be a junior teacher in my institution. Since this employee is going to be a junior teacher, I want to enable the student management option. Right here, I can enable the admission option, student control option, student view option, or I can enable all of this. Similarly, in academics option, if I want every option available here as a privilege for this employee, he or she can be given the privilege by selecting this. Else I can select few of it. And apart from the academics, I want this particular employee to have an involvement in administration of finance system. I can enable any of this. Right here, I'm enabling these. So once I'm done giving privilege for this employee, I can go for save. Here, it's asking me to select the manager of this employee. I can do that by searching the name of the employee here. Say name of the manager here. I've typed the name of the manager and I'm selecting it. Now the selected manager is Jay and I'm saving and proceeding it. Here once again, the payroll category that we created there in the settings is available right here. So all we have to do is that enter the payroll detail for this particular employee Harish right here. This is a one-time entry, but every month we have the option of creating the payslip for this employee. So let us enter some detail. So once when I enter a basic pay, automatically the HRA and special allowance and PFs get displayed based on the formula that we've given in the settings. So we gave a 3% of the basic pay and 5% of basic pay for the HRA and special allowance. So based on the formula that we've given, the amount is automatically calculated right here. We can make changes if required. Once this is done, we can go for the option finish. Right now the employee profile is created. We can view their detail right here by going for these options, and we can create one more by going for click here. Let's go back to HR and see the other options here. We've done with employee admission. Let's go for employee subject association. In employee subject association, we can allot employees for the particular subjects for the particular batch, for which I need to select the batch. So let me select one particular batch that we have created recently, standard 3, A15 to 16. And these are the subjects that we created for this particular batch. Let me select English. Right now I need to select an employee for this particular batch and the subject English, for which I can select the department from the drop down. So I'm selecting English department, and it displays the list of employees in that particular department who are available in Freddy now. I can assign any of these employees. So let me assign this particular employee. If I want to assign one more employee, I can select and assign it here. Or if I want to assign another employee from any other department, I can select another department, say science, and these are the employees available in the department science. So let me assign this employee. I can do the same for other subjects as well. Right here, I'm assigning two employees for the mathematics department. Let me choose an employee for Spanish. So the employee subject association is done for the batch 3, SIP standard 3, A section. Let's move forward to the next option, employee leave management right here. Inside employee leave management, I have certain settings that can be done. There might be different types of leave type in every institution. So these are the leave type that you can enter here. So these types of leave has to be created here before the employee can apply for leaves. So I've created few sample leave type. Begins with having a name, say casual leaves with a code and the maximum leave count that the institution or the school is providing for the employee. And in case if this particular leave type is a carry forward option is available, we can go for the option carry forward. We can enable it right here. If the option carry forward is not available for this particular leave type, I'm disabling it here and I can update it. Similarly, I've created few other category, say maternity leave with a leave code and a maximum leave count, and I've updated it. I've given another leave type to be sick leave with a code and a maximum leave count. And in case if I want to go for enable carry forward, I have enabled it and I've updated it here. Once the leave type is being created, we can go for the attendance register. Here, an employee can apply for leave and the manager can approve it. This can be done using the profile of the employee. In case if the employee is not applied for the leave, an employee's absence can be marked here. By default in FEDINA, all employees and students are present. Only when they're absent, the absence can be marked here. For which I need to select the particular department of the employee. Say let me select the department maths. Right here, I can mark absence for the employee. In case if the employer already applied for a leave and been approved by the manager, the cross in the cell will be seen here. Now I can mark absence for this employee by selecting in the cell and entering the leave type to be casual. And let me go for a reason. So any reason can be entered here. Let me enter casual. And if this particular leave is a half a day, I can enable it right here and go for submit. Now we can see the cross sign available here in this particular cell. This represents that this particular employee's leave today. Similarly, we can mark absence for any employee. So let me do it once again. If this employee is leave for half a day, I'm enabling it. I'm going submit. Now we can see the absence of the employee right here. That can be done for all the employees who are absent. Once we've done with the attendance register, we can see the attendance report right here. So we can select the particular department, say mathematics. Now we can view the leaves taken by this employee in this department. These are the employee available in the mathematics department and these are the leaves. So these are the leave types, say sick leave, casual leave, maternity leave and the total leave. So we can see what are the type of leave the employees has taken and the total leave that they've taken. We have the option of going for a PDF report or a CSV report. Now we can go for the reset leave option where there's a setting available, say leave reset settings. This can be used when the institution or the school wants to automatically reset the leaves. Say after a period of 12 months or 6 months or 4 months, if they want to reset the leaves for all the employees, they can go for automatic enable reset, which will automatically enable after the period of 12 months or the 6 months or 4 months, which what we enter here will be counted. So I'm entering now 4. From the count date, say June 24th, after 4 months, the leave reset will automatically take place. We can update it right here. So once this is done, we have other options of resetting leaves individually for departments, for individuals and for all right here manually. So in case if I want to do it automatically, I can go for this setting. In case if I want to do it manually, I can go for these settings. We're done with employee leave management. Let's go forward and see create payslip. As we've already seen, we have entered the detail of the payroll while we admitted an employee. Now, every month when the salary slip has to be created, we need to come to the create payslip option and we can go for one-click payslip generator. While doing this, all the payslip that is available in the institution for all the employees will be automatically created. Similarly, a one-click payslip revert option is also available. In case if I want to do it individually for an employee, or if I want to make few changes and individually create for certain employees, I can go for this option, select employee, select a particular department, say French, and I can change the salary date and I can change any of the details right here. I can even go for add individual category where I can give a name and an amount, make it a deduction or an earning if required. Once this is done, I can go for the option create. So it says May 2015 salary slip is generated for this employee Sarah. So now we've created the payslip right here. We can view the created payslip as a finance person in the finance module. In the finance module, a finance person can view the payslip that has been created, and that particular finance person will have the privilege of approving it or rejecting the payslip once it's created. In case if the finance person has rejected the payslip for any reason, say incorrect data or any error that they've entered, we can view the rejected employee payslip right here. While going for the rejected employee, we can select the particular employee department. We can view the rejected employee payslip here. So let me show you an example. In the finance module, as an finance employee, I'm viewing the payslip. So this is the employee Sarah for whom I created it, and you can see the status to be pending. Now I can view it and I can reject it and I can give a reason. And I can submit it. So once this is done, let me go to human resource, create payslip, rejected employees, and here when I select the department and I can view this particular employee named Sarah available, and let me select the particular month for which the payslip is rejected. Say May 2015, payslip is rejected for the reason incorrect data for this employee. Now, as an HR person, I can edit it by changing the value of it. Say now let me enter the right value 600, and once this is done I can go for create. Now again the payslip has to be approved by the finance person. So we're done with the payslip, create payslip option here. Let's move forward and see the other options like employee search. So this is the place where we can search for an employee based on certain categories. We can go for view all and select a particular department and see particular employees available. So if you want to view the profile of the employee, we can select the employee profile here. Or we want to make an advanced search, we can enter the detail, we can filter based on this particular detail and give search. The last option is employee payslip. So here, as an HR person, I can view the employee status by going for all department or any particular department and select the month. Say for the month of May 2015. I'm viewing it. So these are the employees and these are the payslip status for this particular employee. So here I can see for this particular employee, the payslip status is approved. When I see, I can find the approved status of the employee payslip. The other pending payslips as well. So that's all about human resource module. We are done with human resource module. Let's move forward and see the student admission module. We can view the student admission right in student admission. So this is the admission form of the student. Right here we can see the admission number, which is automatically generated, and the admission date, which is by default the current date. In the personal details, I can enter the name of the student. So let me enter a name of the student and give the birth date. I have other options to enter the contact details and personal details. Right here, I need to put the student into a particular class and a batch. It can be a course as well. So I need to select the particular class or a course from the drop down. So right now I'm admitting the student into a particular standard that I've created, say standard 3. And I'm putting the student into the A section. Here I can enter the roll number of the student manually if required, else I can go to this particular settings and get it done. In case if the student has a biometric ID, I can enter the ID here in this space. I can enable the SMS and the email feature by enabling this option. I can also update the user's photo by going for choose file. Once I'm done with it, I'm going for save and proceed. Here, in case if this particular student has an sibling in the institution, I can allot a sibling here by going for searching the sibling name. So let me enter sibling name and I'm selecting the name of the student. I am giving save and proceed. Here it's asking me to enter the previous education details of the student. While we admit a student into Farina, in case if the student has any previous education details that need to be recorded, we can enter the detail here, say institution name, class, year, and total marks. Once this is done, we can go for save and proceed. These are the additional details that we created in the settings, say medical checkup, height and weight. So I've made this medical checkup field to be mandatory. So I'm mandatorily filling in this field. I'm going for the S option or any of these options. I can fill in the height and weight of the student. Once I'm done with this, I'm going for save and proceed. So this is the profile of the student. Now we can see the student in the standard 3 and this particular section or a batch A 15 to 16, and this is the admission number of the student. We can create one more student or more students by going for the option click here. In case if you want to add a guardian for the student, I can go for the option guardian. Already there is existing guardian because I have combined this particular student profile with the sibling category. So the guardian and the parent option is automatically inherited. I can make changes by going for edit or delete it. Here I can view the other personal details and reports, fees, subjects that the students will be taking, if anything is available. So now a student can log in using the admission number. So right here, let me log in as a student to view. So here I'm logging in as a student, typing the password of the student. Since I've enabled the first time login, change password, it's asking me to change the password. Let me change the password of the student. I've updated it. Now we can find the student profile to be different from the admin profile. There are very few modules that are available. As a student, I can view my profile. I have the option of going to calendar where I can view any important events that is going to take place. I can view the timetable that is allotted for me. I can view the news that is created in the institution. So that's all about student profile. Let's log in as an admin. And now we're done with student admission. Let's move on to the next module, timetable. For the option timetable, I'm going to academics, timetable. Here there are certain settings that we need to do before we begin with creating timetable. Here, manage class timing set is the first option that we need to do. By default class timing set is available. So let me view what is there in the default class timing set. So inside the view class timing set, we can view the default set timing that has been allotted. Say the classes, how they begin and what time do they begin. Say the period 1 that starts at 8 o'clock and ends at 9 o'clock. And the period 2 which starts at 9 o'clock and ends at 10 o'clock. There is a break for 10 minutes and the period 3 and 4 are happening till 12 o'clock. So this is the default class timing set that I have created for my institution. So you can create your own or you can create different ones for every batch in case if there is a different class timing set. So let me create one and show. I've given the name class timings. Let me go for view class timings. There is no class timings found already. I need to create one for which I'm going for add class timings. Here I need to give the name, say for example, session 1. I'm giving the start time to be somewhere around 10 o'clock in the morning and it ends at 11 o'clock. And now Ferdinand is asking me if this particular name class session is a break. No, it is not a break, so I'm not enabling it right now. I'm giving save. So here it is created. Let me create few more sessions. So here I'm giving session 2 and it begins at 11 o'clock, ends at 12 o'clock. I'm saving it. Again, I'm adding an option, say break for half an hour. Say it begins at 12 o'clock and ends at 12:30. And I need to enable the option is a break. By doing this, the timetable that we create will have a detailed description saying if it's a session that a student has to attend or if it's a break. So let me create one more session here. So session 3, which begins at 12:30 and ends at 1:30. Right here, we've created this class timing set. Let's go ahead and see the other options. The next one is the set weekdays and class timing sets. So inside which I'm selecting when the weekday begins on. By default, it shows Monday because that is what we've done in the general setting. So we've selected the begin set weekday to be on Monday by default in the general setting. So here we can select the number of working days. We can select Saturday and Sunday if required. Let me select Saturday. And by default, the class timing set is default option which has been created here. We can change it by going for the option change. For example, I'm going for the one that I've created, say class timings. So let me select for everything. For doing which, we need to select a class. It can be common for all the class or it can be particular for any of the class available here. So let me select one particular class, say standard 3 that we created. If I want, I can even select a particular batch. So I'm selecting a particular standard 3, say select a particular batch, say A section. And here now I'm selecting the class timing set to be class timing. And in case if I want my student to work on Saturdays, I need to select, I need to have a timetable for Saturday. So I'm selecting Saturday, and now I'm changing the class timing to be class timing if required, or I can go for default one that is created already. So in case if I want a different timing, say for example, according to class timings, the class begins on 10 o'clock. So on weekdays, let's assume the class wants to begin at 10 o'clock. And on a Saturday, I want the classes to begin at 8 o'clock. So I've given a different default class timing set where the first period begins at 8 o'clock. Once I'm done with it, I can change the applicable from date. And once I'm done with this, I'm going for save. So we've done creating this. Now the weekdays and class timing set is modified. So once you're done, let's go to create timetable. Here we need to give a start date and end date for a timetable. So let me give a period short time, say for a week, and I'm creating it. Once it's created, I need to select a particular batch. So let me select a particular batch, say standard 3. And we can view the class timetable right here. So this is what we've created, say starting at 8 to 9, and it goes on. On Saturdays, we'll have a different timetable. Say, let me show you how it is. Say here. So this is how we created. We wanted our classes to begin at 10 o'clock and end at 1:30 from Monday to Friday. And I want my classes to begin at 8 o'clock and at 12 o'clock on Saturdays. So now the timetable is modified according to my convenience. And right here, I can allot the subjects and employee here. So let me select the subject first. I'm selecting the subject English. So these are the employees who've been allotted for the subject English, for which I'm selecting the employee name and selecting the location here. I'm going for assign. Now you can see that this particular subject English is available in the time period 11 to 12 by the employee Sheila. So this particular employee will be taking class English for standard 3 at 11 o'clock on Monday. Similarly, we can do for other subjects, say maths or science. So we can assign an employee and we can allocate it here. Similarly, the timetables can be created. Let me view few timetables that has already been created by us. So the timetable differs based on the default set timings that I've given. This is how our timetable is viewed. Here we can view the teacher's timetable as well. So we can see that this particular teacher has class on Monday at 9 to 10. Similarly, we can see for every employee what the classes that will be attending on this particular day. So on Monday, this particular employee has no classes, whereas on Tuesday, she has 2 classes. You can see the detail for a week. Here we can go for work allotments where we can allot the employees, say particular subject, and we can also view their work allotment. So here, these are the batches that is available and the subjects for individual batches. Right now, I can select the employee for the particular subject. I can select only one employee when it comes to work allotment right here. If I want to select more than one employee, I need to go for the option assign multiple employees, where I can select the batch, select a particular batch, select a subject, and assign more than one employee. So for example, I have another employee in another department who can teach Hindi. I am assigning it right here. So when it comes to allocating employees in work allotment, at this place we can only allot one employee, whereas in assign multiple options, we have the option of assigning more than one employee. On the right hand side, we can find an bar which explains the classes that the employee has taken, the number of periods the employee has taken. Right here we can see the list of employees and a description that shows there are 9 deficit, 6 deficit, 2 deficit, and 6 remaining, 3 remaining, and okay. So these description explains that the employee still has to take 9 more periods to reach the target that is being provided for them. And this particular employee, Abdul, has 6 more remaining to reach the particular target, whereas this particular employee has 3 more to reach the target. Whereas these employees have taken classes more than their limits, and that is the reason it shows its deficit. And here, this employee has taken exactly the number of classes that has been allotted. The target has been completed perfectly by this employee. Let's move to timetable and see the other options. There is an institution timetable where we can see an institution timetable for the day. So let's go for timetable trackers. Here we have an option of swap timetable. So in case if there is an employee who is not available, who is already marked the class in the timetable and is not available, and the institution or the admin wants to swap, that can be done right here. So for example, I'm selecting a particular batch, and for this particular standard, in case if there is a timetable, I can assign another teacher right here. The next option is classroom allocation. So this classroom allocation option enables us to assign buildings and classrooms in which a particular subject can be taken. So right here I'm going for manage buildings, where I'm creating the buildings that is available and the number of rooms that is available. So I have to begin with add buildings. So I need to give the name of the building. I need to give the room name and the capacity it holds. It can be more than one room, so I can go for add fields and give the room name. So right here the number of rooms are 4 for this particular building. So once we're done with this particular basic setting, we can go for allocation, for which we can go for the option weekly allocation or date specific allocation. So in case we're going for day specific allocation, we need to select the month and the year, and we can view it here. And we can select the particular block, we can select the classroom, and we can go for the option allocated. So now for this particular subject, block A, room number 1 is allocated. Similarly, we can do for another subject. Now this employee and the students will know that this particular block A and the room 2 is allocated for this subject and for this timing. So that's all about timetable module. Let's move forward to the next module, attendance. The attendance module is available in academics, attendance. Here, let's begin with the first one, attendance register. Here, and as an employee or a teacher can mark attendance by selecting a particular batch. So let me select one particular batch, say grade 1. Right here, this is the calendar, and you can find the list of students available in this particular batch on the left hand side. And I can move to the other months as well. By default in FEDINA, all students are present. Only when a student is absent, I need to mark attendance. So a teacher can mark attendance by selecting a particular cell and entering a reason. Say sick. The student is on a sick leave today, and the teacher can select the option forenoon and afternoon if the student is absent on both these sessions, or select any one of it and go for the option add. Now we can see in the particular cell there's a cross sign representing the student is absent for today. In FEDINA, we can mark absent for the previous set of days, but not for the upcoming days. This is helpful for an employee to take attendance in class and update the data in FEDINA, say a week's data or month data into FEDINA. Whereas the future dates cannot be marked absence. A step ahead, easier way of doing it is by enabling the rapid attendance option. Once I enable this option, I need not have to enter the reason for the absence. I can just select the cell and mark absence for the student. I'm selecting the cell and I can mark absence. Similarly, the absence can be marked for every batch by selecting the batches from the drop-down. These are the batches that I've already created in FEDINA. The next option is the attendance report. Here I can go by selecting the batch. So let me select one particular batch, say grade 1, and I need to select a mode. Is it monthly report or an overall report? Let me go for an overall report. Here, these are the number of students present and this is the working days. Here you can view the percentage, say attendance percentage of the student. We can select the name of the student and see the days they have taken leave and the reason that is being provided. Let me select the same report. Here we can see the total days and the percentage clearly. In case if I want to filter, I can go for a filter option. I have the option of taking a PDF report as well as CSV report. Let me move forward to the next report, day-wise attendance report. By default, the change date is today, and for today, it is showing the attendance in every batch, so every class and every batch. So right here we can see. So I can also change the date to be some other day, say 7. I can see who are the students and the number of absentees in every batch. Right here I can see there's one absentee in class 1 and class 2. I can go ahead and see in other classes as well. Right here I can take a CSV report if required. If I want to filter based on any particular class, I can do that. Say for example, I want to check the class 1 students on this 7th May. I'm selecting the class and selecting the date, and I can see the absentees. That's all about attendance module. So since we're done with the attendance module, let's move forward to the final one, event creation and calendar. So let me come back to FEDINA and go for event creation. Here we can go see the options in quick links, say event creation. I can create events in FEDINA, and by creating events, I can notify the students or the particular person who's going to participate in this event. For which I need to give the start date of the event. For example, tomorrow is the event. I'm giving the start date and end date to be tomorrow, says 10 till 10 o'clock in the morning. I can give a title of the event. Any XYZ event name, and I can give a description, any detailed description about the event. Say for example, I want to invite the students for this event. I can go for the option like creating event and then select the students who have to be given privilege. Right here, Ferina is asking me if this event is an holiday. In case if this event going to be an holiday, I can go for the option yes, enable it. But since it's just an event for 3 hours or 4 hours, I'm not enabling this option holiday. And again, it's asking me, is this event common to all? When I enable this option and create an event, all the users in Ferina will be notified that this particular event is going to happen on this particular day. In case if I want to create this event for a set of people, I'm disabling this option, I'm creating event. Here, I can select the batch of students who I want to and select a department. Let me select a batch, say class 1, A and B, class 2, grade 1A. So I'm done with selecting these students. I'm giving save. I can select the department employees as well. Say for example, English, Maths, Science and Social Science. Once I've selected, I'm giving save. And I can give an option confirm. Now, for the day that I've created, we can see the calendar, we can see the events that we created in the calendar. So event in the school that I created for the day 12 is shown here with the black color. The black color represents events, the blue color represents examination, the green color represents holidays, and the red color represents dues. So this is an admin calendar, and I can view as an admin the events that is going to take in place for this particular month. I can even move forward and check the events that might happen for the next month. So into this month, we can see there are lots of events that is yet to take place. And when I hover over this particular event, I can see the detail right here. For to May 12th, there's an event that I created, and there is an examination which is represented with blue color. The red color represents the library book return, reminder. Even in the calendar, I can create an event by going for the option add. Here once again, I can give an event. Say for example, this day has been marked holiday. I can give holiday and I can select the option holiday and event for all and create it. I can confirm it. So once by doing this, an holiday is created which is represented with a green color. Now let's log in as a student to view the event reminders that is being sent to the student. I've logged in as a student and the student can view their event reminders right here. So this particular event, say holiday, was created for all the students and all the teachers. So which is being sent as a mail here. This notification describes it's an holiday and the description to be an holiday and the start date and the end date. As a student, I can even reply back to this mail. So let's go and see the other events that has been created. Even in the school that I created for a privileged set of students is shown here. So these are the students who are given privilege to take part in this particular event. So this student has got a mail regarding it. Similarly, the other users will be notified regarding these events. So once such events are created in event creation or the calendars, it will be notified through a mail as well as an SMS. In case if we have selected the option in the settings, say SMS settings. So any dues that is automatically created in the finance module or fees module, those due can be viewed here. These due option will be available as per the login. So let me log in as a student profile and I'll show you how does the calendar looks like. I'm selecting the calendar. Here I can see this particular student has holiday on May 1st, and on 12th there's an event, and on 21st there's a holiday for this particular student. So that's how the calendar looks like for the students. So that's all about the modules that we were planning to do for today. So we're done with the core modules part 1.